today is Ignite Your Team's Spark, Cloverleaf's new activities. So you have your resource. If you need support with your account, please don't use this webinar for that, just because we don't have the ability to look at your account while we're in the webinar. So you want to handle that while you're actually, off the webinar, and we'll be happy to do that with you off the webinar. Our support is actually a person. So you just met Jason, and Jason actually is the person on the other end of support. So when you click on this little bubble and you actually send a message to support, you are actually going to be talking to Jason. And so you can actually send a message and you will get Jason who can help you. So again, if you need help with your account, please just make sure you do that after the webinar. And then we will do a quick poll just to help you let us know a little bit more about you. Julie will share a little bit more about our activities feature, and then we will walk you through a little bit about each activity and when it might be a good idea to use that activity. So we'll talk about the scavenger hunt. Then Peggy will share the Team Traits Explorer, and I'll share the Cloverleaf Spotlight. Then we want to know questions from you and maybe your ideas. As we're talking about these activities, maybe you have an idea of maybe how you could use this activity with your team or in your organization, and we want you to share that with the community. So as you're listening to some of the activities, maybe keep that in mind, and we're going to ask you to share those ideas. Then we're going to ask for your feedback. We plan these webinars based upon your feedback. So if you have suggestions, we will also be sharing with you our next webinar in February. So if you have suggestions for the next webinar topic, we will allow you to submit your feedback. And then we'll share with you some upcoming development opportunities, our Cloverleaf Train the Trainer, and our workshop options. So let's get started with our poll really quickly. Jason, if you could just share the poll on the screen, just tell us a little bit about the role that best describes you. So would your role be best described as a senior or C-suite talent learning leader? Are you a director or manager level talent or learning leader? Are you a manager of a team? Are you managing a group of people? Are you an individual contributor? Or are you a coach or consultant? So take a moment and just let us know the role that best describes you, just so that we can understand a little bit more about you. And so just don't tell us in the chat, just let us know on the poll on the screen. So if you could click that, that would be great. The chat, unfortunately, will not capture your answer on the poll. Almost there. We have a couple more people. All right, great. We have about 90% response rate. That's awesome. All right. 92% response rate. Excellent. All right, good. So we can end that. You can share that. So we have pretty much almost a dead heat between the director, manager level talent learning leader, manager of a team, individual contributor, kind of all almost tied there. And then coach and consultant and senior or C-suite talent learning leader, bringing the bookends there. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Just helps us know who is with us today. Okay, so Julie, I'm going to hand it off to you to share a little bit more about activities.
Yeah, so quick overview. We've gotten a lot of feedback over the years. So I've been with Cloverleaf for a little over 3 years now. And I think we're constantly hearing like, how do I use Cloverleaf with my team? Or like, how do I build habits around this? Or like, what's the next thing I can do as a manager or people leader when it comes to integrating Cloverleaf into our workflows? And that was really the impetus of delivering the solution we call activities. And so we're trying to give more tangible, like step-by-step instructions and guides on how to actually do that. And we tried to build this in a way that allows you to do this in 3 to 5 minutes in like the smallest increment that you might want to start with. So that could mean we'll get deeper into this, but that could mean maybe you kick off your next team meeting with an activity that's focused around one person on your team. And this can be really powerful when you start to combine this with your team's coaching focuses if they're sharing that with you. So if somebody on your team wants to work on developing and building their confidence, there's an activity for you to do that. And so each of our activities has a way that you can select a goal, whether it's building team trust or building confidence or motivating or celebrating. We just want to give you like an easy button to do that. So this is our attempt to do that. And this is our first attempt. This is what we call like an MVP. So we're really looking for feedback on these experiences. Are we actually delivering on these promises and these goals that we've created? Are we missing an opportunity to build a new activity around a problem that you're facing with your team, with people that you work with? That's what we want to hear. We need that feedback so we can continue to iterate and improve on a feature like activities. And so who can access this? Essentially, the easy answer is anyone who manages people or teams in our system. If you get into the technical side of things, it has to do with your access. So org admins will have access to activities regardless of their role. But for any non-org admins, you either have to be a manager, a team lead, I think a director or a coach consultant, and you will see activities on anywhere you can manage or build a team. So individual contributors don't have access to these team building activities right now. We are looking for opportunities to build activities that everyone can use as well. And one of those actually is the Cloverleaf conversation cards, which is like kind of like a pseudo activity, but it's a little card set up in the top navigation of Cloverleaf. Anybody can access those. And that's also a really accessible way to run really quick activities, ice-breaking activities, get to know you activities as well. So when I say anywhere you build a team, if you're using reporting teams, you'll be able to see activities on your reporting teams. My teams, if you are a part or if you're an admin of any team, you'll see that on your teams and then also on the dashboard builder. So if you go and build a team as a one-off, you'll see activities from there and you can launch all those activities right from those team building opportunities. And I think I covered everything. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're good. I just want to show people just a few things that you mentioned in terms of, I know you mentioned coaching focus, and I also know you mentioned roles. So I just want to show people where they can do that. So if they have to set their role, right, they would set their role. I want to just show people where I did that. So they would just click right here, right on this little pencil when they log in on their dashboard. And so if you're a team lead, a team manager, right, a business lead or coach, a consultant, you're going to get access to that, to those activities, right? And you're going to save that in, you're going to save that. And when you set your coaching focus, which means that Cloverleaf is going to give you some more coaching tips that are based on that focus that you want to focus on, that you want to get development on, you can choose that coaching focus, right? So if you want, and now you have more coaching focuses available to you. So if I'm a team manager and I'm focusing on motivating my team, I can select that. And that means that Cloverleaf is knowing to send me more coaching tips that are about how I can motivate others. Right?
Can I build on that a little bit, Steph?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just updated our coaching focus selection. Before,
Mhm.
it was kind of limited based on the role that you had. So if you were an individual contributor, you saw like 5 to 6 of them. But now we've opened it up. So all coaching focuses are available to everybody. That was something we improved based on our feedback because some people didn't find some of those relatable. Some people were looking for that wider breadth of coaching focuses as well. So we just open it up and we're hoping that for those of you who may not feel like you found one relatable, there might be one in there that you do find relatable. And if not, there's a little form in there as well where you can submit ideas you have around coaching focuses that we currently don't support.
Excellent. And after you do select that focus, you're going to be asked a quick question here, and you're going to be asked another follow-up question, and you can save that information. And so now your coaching focus is there. If at any time you want to change it, you can. Awesome. So as Julie mentioned, I'm going to go to My Teams, which is one of the places that you can leverage the activities. So I'm going to hop back on just for a moment. I'm going to be sharing about the Cloverleaf scavenger hunt first. And I'm first going to share with you, and this is all in your resource, right? So if you need a reference for this, this is all in your resource. Everything I'm going to be sharing, everything that myself, Peggy, and Peggy are going to be sharing about the actual activities is captured in the resource. So when you might use this first activity, well, let's say you have a team that is struggling to work together productively. Maybe they are relying too much on the manager. Maybe they're coming to you a lot if you're the manager, or they're coming to the leader too much to get things done. This is an opportunity where you can get some things out in the open, and you can also have people articulate where they might need support. Another circumstance where you might want to use the scavenger hunt, let's say you come together quarterly. Maybe you're a team that doesn't work together in the same physical space, but maybe you all get together quarterly. Or maybe you have some kind of monthly team development get together. This is a great time to get in touch with getting present to each other's strengths and making sure that some of the relationships are cultivated. Remember, we are a transactional workforce. When you start your day, what are the top two things you usually do first when you start your work day? You do two things. You open your email and you look at your calendar. You usually don't say, what are my strengths? What are my team's strengths, right? We don't usually start our day with that level of intentionality. So sometimes if we are having some kind of quarterly or monthly get together, this is a great activity to use for that as well. Also, if you're working on a project or there's some cross-functional initiative that would benefit from people really navigating how to work together better, this is also a great opportunity to use the scavenger hunt. So now I'm going to go back into my teams. And when you click on scavenger hunt right here, you're going to see directions for the activity. You will also see a little instructional video, which you can watch. I'm basically doing the instruction for you, but if you're on your own, let's say, a week from now, you want to try this activity, you can refer back to this video, or you can refer back to the instructional video right here above this. Now, you want to think about what are you trying to do with this team? So let's say you are a person who is using this for a quarterly team get together, and you really want to work on collaboration. The team has been struggling with collaboration. So the scavenger hunt, instead of looking for things, you're looking for information and sharing. And so you're going to be using the insight search feature. So if supercharging collaboration is your goal, you're going to be asking people to use the prompt, how can I best collaborate, in the insight search feature, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. And you're going to be asking people to review their insights by asking this question, to kind of go through some tips and find one that best reflects their own actual experience. And you're going to have someone actually read their selected tip out loud. And then after they read that tip, maybe you're using some coaching questions to clarify. We've given you some examples here. So something like, when have you seen this in action? Could this ever cause team tension? How can we leverage this to support team goals? Now, ideally, you might want to have multiple people share around this prompt. So what do we mean by sharing around this prompt? So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Remember, the prompt is, how can I best collaborate? So the person is going on their scavenger hunt for their tip, right? How can I best collaborate? And now I'm going to search my coaching tips. Now, remember, your coaching tips are based on the assessment results that you have taken. So the person can kind of scroll through their coaching tips and see which tip really resonates with them. So maybe this tip, consider entertaining new ideas that could bring change to routine processes. Your natural inclination may be refute such suggestions. To build collaboration, identify what exactly bothers you about a proposed change and determine how you could compromise to test things out. So maybe someone shares this tip and shares how they might want to practice this, and they might want to identify an idea and how it might be able to be used. They might share this tip, and they might share a little bit about how they could use this tip to collaborate better. Or maybe they're scrolling through and they find this tip is the one that resonates with them more. And maybe they find that this tip is about, let's see, I want to find a tip about pinpointing specific resources that will help me complete a task more efficiently. Additionally, teammates may be able to offer new tips to streamline processes in ways you might not have thought of before. So maybe the person wants to share a little bit more about collaborating to share resources. And so the person shares the tip, and then you, as the team leader or the facilitator, are asking some follow up questions, which are provided in the activity. Again, you can ask a couple of people to answer this question about the tip that they selected to answer the question, how can I best collaborate? And then after a number of people have shared, you can ask participants to share maybe a takeaway or an action step. So, for example, you might say, given the insight that everybody shared here, or given all the insights that you heard people share, what is something that we could all do better to collaborate? Or what's the most tangible next step we could all take to better collaborate in the next quarter? So you could really use this almost as a little bit of a team coaching exercise. And the best part about it is that you're using personalized content specific information that relates to the specific people on your team. Now, you may have had an idea of how to use this, and I want you to capture that. We're going to be asking you at the end of all the activities, we're going to be asking you to share your ideas of other ways to use some of these activities. So I'm going to be passing it on to Peggy to share with you the next activity. But if you have ideas of different ways to use this activity, I want you to kind of jot those down for yourself. And we're going to be doing some information sharing at the end of sharing all the activities. Okay, so Peggy next is going to be sharing about the Team Traits Explorer. So Peggy, share a little bit about when you might want to use this.
Okay, so one of them is when you've got change inside of your organization. That can be really stressful for people on your team and in your organization. And if you are having new teams as a result, you can see decreased productivity because you're going through the storming and norming process before they get to return to the performing on that team life cycle. So it is important to be coping with stress, to that people are communicating effectively. And if you have had layoffs in your organization, this is a practice that can also help you restore some humanity and connection to your team when they might feel like they're just a number or a cog in a machine. Also, when you're kicking off major projects and strategic initiatives, you want to understand what your assets are on the team, who the best collaborators are inside, who is going to be a balancer or a great thought partner. That could be rocket fuel for other people on the team. And also when you're transitioning leadership, change, again, very stressful for people, and you want to build trust quickly. So identifying what your most natural state is and what flexibility may be needed for other people on the team is very helpful to be proactive and thoughtful about building that trust quickly. When you're doing team development workshops, if you just want to, as a practice or an offsite, be building connection inside of your team, this is really helpful for growing awareness, increasing understanding of what your other teammates have to offer, and also increasing understanding of dynamics, interpersonal relationships, and how to use Cloverleaf when you are not in that team session, but you are headed into a meeting with someone else.
All right, great.
So if we look at that Team Traits Explorer, look at me taking over. There we go. I'm starting on a dashboard. So the dashboard's your top button on the left-hand side. I can scroll down to my teams. I pick which team I want to be working with. And it's going to be in this upper left-hand corner. So we have our Team Traits Explorer. It's based on the assessment. Right now it's 16 types, so I can just click on it. It's going to pull up the directions. I can see I'm going to check out my team. We're going to focus on all of the clickable headers that they have inside of that assessment. And we're going to pay attention to what the strengths and gaps are for the team. I'm going to look over, I always pay attention to where's the majority of my team Do we have single person outliers? And are there any areas where we have 0 people represented? If I want more information to prepare, I can click on those links, but I'm actually just gonna get started. I, again, pick the team. If people haven't taken the assessment, I can send it over to them, and I'm gonna focus on collaboration. So that is really our work styles and how we interact with each other. We will even collect feedback for you. I think that's fantastic because I've gotten feedback from managers that one of the highlights of their team's year, that shocked me, was a team session. So getting to do this with your team can really build delight into your workday. So here we are on the team. I'm going to pay attention to where most of us are, which is hanging out here, where outliers are, which I would probably call these ISFJ, Casey, and Cameron outliers, and then where we have none. So I know I'm going to want to pay attention to that because we should be awesome at representing these traits. And I want to make sure we still get the benefit that these traits offer our team when we could have a potential to bulldoze. And what does this set of traits offer that we might have to introduce a new process or a set of questions that we're asking to check in? I can also see quickly where the green bars are. That's where the majority of our team is. So I would click on each of the headers. I can see that we are mostly introverted. And we're just going to read the text off of the screen. The energy category is how you gain energy and highlights what charges your mental batteries. An introvert gets energy from the inner world, ideas, and memories. They are generally quiet, enjoy alone time, and prefer to work alone or in very small groups with well-known peers. An extrovert gets energy from the outer world and of people and activities. They love to be with people and to get other people energized. If they are likely outgoing, know a lot of people from a variety of circles, and prefer to work in groups. When we are doing this, we can just ask questions. Do we think this is true? How does this show up? And then I often do a comparison between the two. The majority are introverted. Are we making sure to collaborate enough? Are we creating enough energy in the day for our extroverts? What do you think? Do we want to change anything going forward? And if you feel like, gosh, this is a little overwhelming, you can always click view directions and it will take you back to where you want to go. And you can talk through that, or you can click at either of these ahead of time. Oh no, did I just lose where I was? There we go. As I go through, I'm going to pay attention to making sure on these really low representation of 14 sensing and of the orientation at just 21, that we're pausing to make sure that we are getting the benefit out of the lower represented team, because the higher ones are really going to be very natural to us. The other thing I'm going to hang out on is that we've got these 2 middle letters, and that is how your brain works. It's how you mentally consume, organize, and decide upon information. So I'm going to read this and make sure that we are not missing the intelligence of the sensing thinking, which is kind of like an engineer, a quality engineer that maintains. They could be doing the same work, making sure it stays excellent. And that's something that I want to make sure that we, as a team, are implementing in our outcomes. And then also with our NF, we should be awesome at this. So making sure that we are getting the benefit of this, but not getting ourselves in any trouble or missing details or excellence or quality by not including the ST intelligence, which we can do. It just takes a little bit more effort for us. When you've gone through and you've asked questions and you've talked about this and learned about it with the team, you can just close your time together, which could be 20 minutes, it could be 60 minutes based on how much you want to spend. You can end the activity, and it's going to send an email to your team and they can let you know how it went. And that's all I've got for the team traits.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you for that. And I know this is a lot of information, and many of you have, again, ideas of how you can use this, when you would use this. I'm going to show you one more activity, and we're going to show you an example of it, and then we're going to ask for your ideas and questions as well. Let me share Cloverleaf Spotlight. Many of you might have seen this in other resources. This was previously called Cloverleaf Hot Seat. It's an informal recognition exercise, and we've added some dimension to it. So this is when you can use this. Maybe you have new team members coming on and you would like to introduce them to some of the team and how they operate. And this is a great welcoming exercise, even if you're not going to have those new team members be the person who's the spotlight is on. It can help them get to know some of the dynamics on the team. If you're kicking off a brand new project and you want to get clarity around some roles and strengths to sort of create some alignment with the project, this is a good exercise to do. And maybe you want to navigate some team conflict, or maybe you want to create a little bit more vulnerability and create some more understanding in the group. This can be a good exercise to do as well. And if you also want to boost team morale, sometimes people get stuck in recognizing people as their role and not just as human beings. And sometimes informal recognition can be a great way to boost appreciation and help people just see each other as people. So I'm going to go back into Cloverleaf, and I'm going to go back into Cloverleaf Spotlight. This is the activity that we're going to be working on. And I'm going to click right here to set up activity. And I am going to choose the area of celebrating strengths. Maybe it's the end of a quarter and I really would like to celebrate my team's strengths. So I'm going to choose that as the focus. That's my goal and what I'd like to use this team activity for. And I'm going to start the activity. So now I'm going to ask someone who would like to be in the Cloverleaf spotlight. And I'll ask usually for a volunteer. So let's say that Kai volunteers to be the volunteer, maybe, and then basically I will then, if I'm celebrating something, maybe I'm going to click on the area of leadership. And I will kind of go and find a tip where maybe I'll see where Kai is showing a strength that can relate to the team. So being intellectually strong, Kai is likely someone who seeks opportunities to learn and grow. Join Kai anytime there's a chance to advance your skills together or partner in learning. It can be more fun and effective to have someone to take part in these activities with you. So maybe I'll ask Kai then, Kai, share maybe how you have leaned into this strength, this leadership strength recently. And Kai will then maybe share how recently she looked at an opportunity for her to learn something about a new skill. And she brought a colleague with her and they attended a webinar. And maybe she'll share that experience. And then I'll ask the team, hey, how can you, or recently, can you share a time where Kai recently shared maybe an opportunity to learn and grow with you or with the team, or maybe when she supported the team in this way? And it's a little bit of an opportunity for people to share things that maybe people don't know or wasn't shared publicly. Hey, Kai helped me with this, or I learned this from Kai. And we can then celebrate and acknowledge Kai's contribution to the team. And you can do a couple of rounds of this. So you can say, who would like to be next? And if you pick the next person, if you pick Riley and you pick, let's say another topic, you're going to pick motivation, and you pick another piece, another tip for Riley to share for this specific tip. So Riley has a passion for learning and is eager to explore and discover new things because of a high curiosity strength. Hey, Riley, how does this resonate with you? Share how this has been in action for you recently at work. Maybe Riley shares an example. And then again, team, where have you seen Riley being really curious and how has that made a difference for you? So you're kind of, you're finding a tip. My focus is in celebrating strengths. So you're finding a tip that's celebrating a strength, and you're then creating an opportunity for the person to reflect on the strength and for the team to feed back on the strength. So it's a pretty simple activity. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you some of the conversations and some of the feedback that a couple of members of our team were doing this activity. And we're going to share a quick video with you to share with you some of the benefit of having some of these discussions. So this activity, this video is depicting the activity a little bit underway, and people are discussing the feedback from this activity. So I'm going to click into this video, and you're going to kind of see the benefit of some of these discussions. And this is not this activity, this video was not done with the purpose of showing it to you. It was done, they actually did the activity, and then they gave us permission to share some of it with you. So it was not done as a demonstration, it was done authentically. And then we said, hey, this is a great opportunity to share with you a little bit about how this activity can be done. So sit back, and you're going to be watching some of our Cloverleaf team members in discussion, in acknowledgement, using this activity.
The way I'm interpreting this is like, it can help to re-energize you, Ned, when you're feeling drained, to help others recognize their strengths and motivate others. So like the process of motivating others is energizing to you. And I'm curious from like Edgar, Tran, and Lauren, whether or not that's something you see in Ned or feels true for yourself.
Sometimes you're persistent. Like sometimes, like when we're dealing with hard problems, you continue to go. Like you don't really give up. And sometimes it's nice because there's times where I hit things where I'm like, you're getting really frustrated or something just seems rather hard. But to see that you're always kind of pushing forward makes me want to continue to push forward. That motivates me to sometimes push through. Because sometimes you just feel discouraged, especially when you're having a rough day. But seeing you all the time just push through on things, it's helpful to kind of give you that energy to keep pushing as well.
That helped a lot because I didn't even realize, that impact. And yeah, like to honor that, like if we're on call sometimes, or we have so many things on our plates, and like you said, it can be overwhelming and whatnot. And having that persistence, I'm glad to hear that because it helps me. Yeah, it helps.
Like provide strength in moments like that.
I know we talked a lot, like Ned, you are very encouraging, but I think how this shows in relation to this tip is that it's not just that you're very positive towards others, it's that you're also very specific in calling out what those attributes are and why they're helpful. Because you're not like, yes, you are the very positive person that's like, oh, cool, wow, great job. But I think you're also very purposeful with giving like clear things of calling out the strengths or what a person did well, which makes it like, I know to me, I'm much more likely to really actually take it to heart and find it genuine. It doesn't feel like a blanket statement.
Well, you are definitely good at kind of thinking through from a user perspective. Like, well, as a user, I don't like to do that. I know a lot of people, like you're excellent at practically seeing what the issues are with things.
Thank you. You are persuasive. I think that one of the key strengths you bring to our team is because of like the deep thinking that goes into your design, you're often uncovering edge cases or nuances in our product that pertain to whatever we're working on that we just like have not scoped as part of our initial MVP. In doing that, you are always like one step ahead of us and like anybody else who's using our product on like ways in which it could be improved, so that when we get the feedback, hey, this was kind of a bad experience, someone can be like, I knew that would happen and here's how we're gonna fix it. And I think that not only do you have sort of the street cred, but also I think you do a good job of sort of talking, and I honestly, I think this is something you can really lean into, like talking to the team about why it's important, why you think this is a good change for our user, even if it's not something to get done, before an MVP. It's like, here's my thinking here.
So like for my role, what I do at Cloverleaf, I feel like a lot of times it's problem solving stuff. And one of the challenges I've always had was, if you asked me to design the UI, I don't know if I could do such a good a job as you, but I think what makes me kind of like sometimes appreciate more what you do is like there's like subtle ways in which you can influence a person's behavior through like tiny little things on the UI. And sometimes you do those, like when you post your mocks or whatever. It's just like kind of sometimes I'm like, well, I've never would have thought of that. Like even changing the font color or using different font style or just spacing and stuff. It's intentional. You know what I mean? Like you thought about that. It wasn't just like you slapped it on there and but there was intentionality in it. Just it makes me appreciate more of how we approach a similar problem, right? I'm doing the back end of how it's all going to get glued together, and then you have to think about how the users are actually going to use it. And even though we're solving the same problem, like there's thoughtfulness to what you're doing, and I just appreciate it because I would feel like I'm terribly bad at it from that perspective. So, yeah.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that.
So as you can see, right, you can see that there is a genuine appreciation for people hearing this information from their peers. And there are so many moments that we don't acknowledge because we're so focused on doing our work. We're so focused on the actual action of work that sometimes we don't give space and time for the appreciation of work. And it's really important as teams and as leaders that we facilitate time to allow for that appreciation because it does actually impact how teams interact. Don't underestimate. This is not just for feel good fun. There's a lot of data and research to support that when you allow teams to create connection and trust outside of work, it does impact how they work better together when they go back into those work tasks. So these moments, which as you can see, we just showed you 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long, but if you can carve out some of that time into some of your meetings and your get-togethers, it can really make a difference. And Cloverleaf has built in this content for you so you don't have to put together slides and instructions and activities. You don't really have to do anything. You just have to log into Cloverleaf. So it's really a done for you type of situation. So I want to give you the opportunity to,
The way I'm interpreting this,
sorry, I need to go on there, is to ask any questions about anything we shared, and then any ideas that it sparked for you. Maybe there's ideas that you got that you want to share, that you want to use an activity for, that you want to share with the group. I want to invite you to put that in the chat. Please also, if you have a question, we've been answering some questions in the chat as we've been going through, but if you have any questions about how and when to use these, or if you have any ideas that were sparked as we were sharing these activities, I'd like to invite you to pop those in the chat. We know that people get value from hearing ideas and hearing questions. So just take a moment to just pop that in the chat. Yes, communication is equally important as collaboration, and communication can fuel collaboration, Doris. Excellent. Ruth asked, how best can we use these in a leadership training for managers? So Ruth, if you are incorporating this into some kind of leadership curriculum, I would use the scavenger hunt and use one of the goals that relate to what the session is. So for example, if you were teaching collaboration or you were teaching whatever the topic was, I would pick the goal that closely aligned with the topic. The scavenger hunt might be a great way to kick off a session based upon the topic that you're teaching. You can absolutely use, Marcia, you can use the scavenger hunt as an icebreaker. You can absolutely do that. It's a great way to get people talking. And Julie's asking a question too. If there are specific goals that you have that we maybe didn't articulate that you would like us to incorporate into activities, you can also share that in the chat. You also will have an opportunity to share things in our feedback form as well, where if you want to extrapolate on something, but if you do sort of have an idea that, hey, I'd love to be able to solve for this, you can pop that in the chat as well. But scavenger hunt is a great icebreaker. New team together for the first time next week. If they are on Cloverleaf, by all means, Anthony, you could absolutely use Cloverleaf Spotlight. You could probably use Scavenger Hunt as well. Janet, if you want to invite an employee that's still not a part of Cloverleaf, you just have to make sure you check in with your org admin in terms of what the protocol is in your organization to make sure that they go through the proper channels of getting added. So whoever the person is in your organization that controls, getting invited to Cloverleaf. Most organizations you can invite people, so on your own. So, but I would just check with the person in your organization that manages Cloverleaf.
Yeah, and I'll add super quick and related to Janet's question. If you want a quick guide on how to do that, I did not pull up your account to check if you're an admin, but if you're an admin, you can follow those steps there and send the invite super quick.
Doris shared a great idea. She wants to do an activity that will motivate the introverts to get involved and speak up. Extroverts must make an extra effort to get feedback from all members of the team. So very interesting. Yes. Tony shared leadership retreat in February. We'll give a Cloverleaf retrain to the team and show how to communicate more effectively using 16 types and others. Excellent. Yes. If you're having any kind of offsite, any kind of team get together, leadership retreat, this is a great way to kick off something. Cloverleaf for employee resource group leaders. That's again, that's a great way to help people who are supporting other employees. That's a great resource for them as well.
Anthony's comment about having a new team get together, I am often brought in with new teams because they want to, if they're often in an established organization and the team knows what their goals and deliverables are, the expectation is very high for them to produce quickly. So the productivity when you onboard new people while you are storming and norming, it can decrease. So they use Cloverleaf as a tool to speed through that storming and norming so they can move through performing. So I think that's a great cadence, is introducing that when it is a new team. Also gives people language to understand what makes people on their team that might irk them because they do things differently or value different things. And it helps to speak words of appreciation for the excellence that they bring that is very naturally in them. So I think it is a great foundation, Anthony.
Awesome. Excellent.
Steph,
All right. So
we have a question in the Q&A that I could probably speak to if you'd like me to.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to just give out the feedback form while people are still here, and then we'll address the question. All right. So, okay. We want to share with you that our next webinar is Thursday, February 13th at 12 p.m. Now, we want you to submit your feedback to influence that topic. So Jason is going to be sharing with you this link in the chat. And if you could start to fill that out, that would be great. And then Julie, if you want to address that question, go ahead.
Yeah, so Melinda asked, why are activities not open to all roles? Occasionally, we might want our individual contributors to lead an activity. So interestingly enough, there are some privacy implications to activities and the data that can be shared in there. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're trying to be considerate of that and people leaders, team leaders, relationships that they have with people, and the connection between content being shared is kind of implicit there. We'll be working on some improvements to privacy and visibility here in the future, which will most likely give a little bit more flexibility to things like this to all roles, including individual contributors. But we're also thinking of ways to deliver activities in the future for ICs as well. And I kind of wanted to follow back up with somebody who asked about introverts. So if you feel like you've got a team of introverts and you are maybe not ready to run this at a large team level, you can actually just go to your dashboard builder and select maybe that person that's more of an introvert and kind of do this as like a one-on-one activity with them and get them more accustomed to the experience, maybe in a one-on-one you have with them or a one-off to just gauge how they're feeling too. So the dashboard builder allows you to kind of customize that group of people that you want to run the activity with. That gives you a lot more flexibility in who they are and the group that you want to manage. So I just wanted to give that as like a little pro tip.
Awesome. Excellent.